Hello everyone, and welcome on ArchiDiaries for the second live interview in our ongoing live interview series, which is titled as Shades of Green 3.0 Sustainable Building Approaches. So, we started this interview series last Saturday with a very interesting interview with architect Eugene Pandala from Kerala. And with today's interview, I think the today's and the next two interviews are by accidentally they've aligned in a way that we will get a chance to talk to two interesting designers, architects from two different countries who have been exploring with bamboo as a construction material. Now, the story with bamboo is that it is a very versatile material that has been used as a construction material for centuries. And even today, talking about annual yield of bamboo, annual yield of production, India stands only second next to China at the global level. Despite the availability of the material, because of various factors, the material poses certain kinds of challenges for its contemporary use in architecture and design. And there have been many firms who have been trying to overcome with those challenges, trying to come up with innovative solutions, innovative ways of practice, and make this material available for contemporary practice of architecture and design. So I'm glad to share that for today's interview, we have with us Vaibhav Kaley. He's a founder, director at Wondergrass Initiative India Private Limited. Vaibhav, welcome on ArchiDiaries, and thank you for joining with us.
Thank you.
So before I hand it over to Vaibhav, please allow me to introduce him and also the Wondergrass. Vaibhav Kaley is a designer by training and has experience of working with BCIL, Bangalore, as senior architect after his postgraduate research in urbanism from Bauhaus Germany. Wondergrass Initiative is a company founded by him, and he leads the company as a CEO and coordinates the operations at backend and delivery end. Vaibhav has a decade-long experience in designing and implementing bamboo structures of various scales. A pretty modest introduction, actually, with the kind of compared to the kind of work that Vaibhav and Wondergrass has been doing, and I'm sure many of the viewers will agree with me after Vaibhav's presentation. So, please allow me to welcome Vaibhav, and let's look at the work that Vaibhav and Wondergrass Initiative have been doing for all these years. Vaibhav, over to you.
Thank you, Ayaz. Thank you, Samir and Ayaz and ArchiDiaries, to give me a platform to share some of the work that we have been doing and building using bamboo. How do we start? Shall we start with the presentation directly?
Yeah. You can share your screen and we can have the presentation.
Can you see it?
Yeah, you need to make it full screen. Just present it.
Okay. I guess let me just give you some initial starting points. One is I am a little poor in communications or online discussions, so please that's a caveat. In case there are some things that I miss out or some things that some of you have not understood or would like me to go over again, maybe Ayaz can interrupt or we will figure out some way. So with this, let me start.
Sorry to disturb you. Can you make it full screen? The presentation?
On my side, it is full screen.
Oh. Okay.
It's not coming full screen to you?
Yeah, it's not coming full screen to me. Maybe you need to just do it again. you need to present it. So you can go
Yes.
to slideshow. On the top, there is a slideshow. Can you hear me, Vaibhav?
Yes, but I can't see the slideshow option.
On the top, there is home, insert, design, animations, and then there is slideshow right on the top.
Okay, okay. Yes.
Yeah, you need from beginning. Yeah,
Can you see it now?
it should, I think now. It's taking some time. Samir, can you see his presentation?
No, no. Like I can see it, but it's not full screen.
Yes. So I think maybe it's fine.
Can you probably do it from your end?
I think if it's fine if it doesn't work, because maybe it's taking some time to stream. So you can just do it without.
So shall I start with the
Yeah, I think you can start from the first slide without presentation, without presenting it maybe.
Can you see the second slide now?
Right now, the third slide is why bamboo slide is being present.
Now, second?
No, it's taking some time. Samir, at your end, what do you see?
No, I can only see why bamboo slide. I think it's
Yeah,
the
so we are
third
able to
slide.
see only the third slide.
Maybe you can start it again. The
That would
PowerPoint.
be nice. I think you can stop sharing the screen and maybe start again. Yeah, now is the first slide.
Yes. Is it full screen now?
Not yet.
No, probably I I stay in a small village. Our workshop is in a small village near Nagpur. So,
Okay. So
so
I think
the,
it's fine if you don't want to do the slideshow. We can just have it like this way. Maybe slideshow is taking some time to load.
yes,
Ayaz,
because it's quite heavy. That's why, is it?
Maybe, and also it's video streaming, so
Okay.
might be the internet connection is the
Should I
issue.
open the PDF?
Ayaz, you can
Huh?
open the slideshow if you have it.
Yes, I have a PDF. I can share the
Yeah,
PDF.
you can share the PDF and link. Share me the link. I'll try and open that.
Okay. I'll share it from here itself. PDF.
From here only, you can share me the link.
Can I do this? Share the on the.
You can.
Can you see it now?
You're sharing the screen?
Yes.
No, it's not yet coming.
I think it might be because of internet, yes.
Uh,
Okay, you can see your screen.
yeah, better.
Can
Yeah,
you
we
see it
can.
now?
We can see your screen now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can see it now. Maybe you can just don't switch and give some time between two slides. Allow it to
Okay.
load, and yeah, so we can start.
So hi everyone. Um, my name is Vaibhav. I might switch between Hindi and English in between. So please bear with me. मेरा नाम वैभव है और हम एक छोटी कंपनी चलाते हैं जिसका नाम वंडरग्रास इनिशिएटिव्स है। तो ये कंपनी हमने तकरीबन 2008 यानी अभी 13 से 14 साल हो गए शुरू की थी। सो छोटा सा इंट्रोडक्शन वैसे अयाज ने तो दे दिया है, पर मैं 2 मिनट लूंगा आपसे। मैं नागपुर महाराष्ट्र में से बिलोंग करता हूँ और मैंने जब ग्रेजुएशन ख़त्म की SID से, उसके बाद तकरीबन 2 साल तक मैं नागपुर में काम कर रहा था। 2000 में मेरा ग्रेजुएशन ख़त्म किया था। फिर 2001 से उसके बाद जब गुजरात में अर्थक्वेक हुआ था उसी वक्त, तो 1 साल वहाँ मैंने रिकंस्ट्रक्शन में जो काम हो रहा था आफ्टर द अर्थक्वेक, उसमें 1 साल तक एक NGO है, वो बचाव में काम कर रहे थे, उनके साथ हम लोगों ने काम किया था। और वापस नागपुर आने के बाद मैंने अपना काम शुरू किया, जो कि अलग अलग तरह के काम मैंने शुरू किए थे। उसमें से एक था कि प्रोफेसर KT रविंद्रन जो दिल्ली में है, उनका एक प्रोजेक्ट है वर्धा में, महात्मा गांधी इंस्टीट्यूट फॉर रूरल इंडस्ट्रीज करके। तो ये उसका नया कैंपस बन रहा था, तो मेरा आई वर्क विथ हिम ऑन साइट प्रोजेक्ट कोऑर्डिनेटर के जैसे। तो उसमें वो प्रोजेक्ट तकरीबन 1.5 साल था शुरू। तो उसमें मुझे बहुत अच्छा अपॉर्चुनिटी ये मिला कि ऑन साइट काम करने से और वहाँ रहने से प्रोजेक्ट का फ्रॉम द फाउंडेशन अप टू द प्रोजेक्ट फिनिशिंग जो भी होता है बिल्डिंग प्रोसेसेस, उसका मुझे फर्स्ट हैंड डायरेक्ट एक्सपीरियंस करने को मिला। और फॉर्चुनेटली ऐसा हुआ कि वो इंस्टीट्यूशन का डिज़ाइन और बिल्डिंग में प्रोफेसर रविंद्रन ने काफ़ी सारे व्हाट वी कॉल कोट अनकोट सस्टेनेबल और अप्रोप्रिएट बिल्डिंग टेक्नोलॉजीज, राइट फ्रॉम द बर्न क्ले ट्यूब वॉल्स, तो आपके इंसुलेशन मेथड्स फॉर द रूफ, देन पिलर स्लैब्स, जैकार्च रूफिंग, ये सारा काफ़ी सारे मेथड्स, इवन कैविटी वॉल्स, रैट्रैप बॉन्ड, तो ये सारे इनिशिएटिव यानी ये सारे सिस्टम्स और टेक्नोलॉजीज उन्होंने उसमें यूज़ किए थे। तो वो मेरे लिए बहुत ही अच्छा, इमीडिएटली आफ्टर आई फिनिश्ड माई ग्रेजुएशन, वो 2 साल का जो मेरा एक्सपीरियंस था वो बहुत अच्छा रहा। उसके दौरान मैं और भी कुछ काम कर रहा था मेरा अपना, और दूसरा प्रोजेक्ट मैंने वो उस वक्त किया था ये कि मुझे एक अपॉर्चुनिटी मिली थी एक क्लस्टर हाउसिंग डिज़ाइन करने की, विच वाज फॉर प्रोजेक्ट अफेक्टेड पीपल, जो एक छोटा विलेज डिस्प्लेस हुआ था एक डैम में, उनको वर्धा के पास एक गांव में रिसेटल कर रहे थे। तो अबाउट 50 हाउसेस टू बी बिल्ट यूजिंग बैम्बू एज अ प्राइमरी मटेरियल ऑफ कंस्ट्रक्शन। तो वो भी फ्रॉम डिजाइनिंग यूनिट, उसका प्रोटोटाइपिंग करना, उसको इन नंबर्स रेप्लिकेट करना, ये सब अच्छा एक्सपीरियंस और एक्सपोजर मुझे मिला था, which after which I went to do my postgraduate research in urbanism। बहुत अच्छा प्रोग्राम है बाहाउस का, शायद अभी बंद हो गया है। तो उसके बाद वापस आने के बाद BCIL, जैसे अयाज ने कहा, BCIL Bangalore में. I worked for about a year and two. तो उसका एक इंटरेस्टिंग ये है कि इंटरेस्टिंग डायमेंशन और एस्पेक्ट ये है कि BCIL was trying to see how in mainstream real estate property market they can provide real estate with USP of a sustainable building practices कि वो जो भी रियल एस्टेट प्रोवाइड करेंगे उसका कोर वैल्यू रहेगा सस्टेनेबिलिटी. So when you go into a mainstream market with sustainability as a core value, और उसको जब scale करना होता है, when you have to do a same building unit and repeat it for 20 times, 50 times, 100 times, तो उसके challenges बहुत अलग हो जाते हैं. So technology becomes only one of the part of the overall scheme of things. There are how do you manage resources, how do you manage time and bring efficiency, what are the gaps and challenges that you face when you have to replicate the same technology for a number of time. So I just wanted to give you this broader background so that it becomes easier for you to understand how the kind of the work that we have done. I wouldn't say that it is great, but it's still there's something interesting that we have done. So I'll move on to second. So just to give you a broad idea of the presentation that is going to follow. So there are typically in this presentation or in any presentation what we try and see is कि we try and answer three broad questions. एक तो why, second is what, so why bamboo. So bamboo as a building material resource. और दूसरा what is that bamboo as a material resource or building material, and third is how we have used that material resource or building material resource in the works that we have done. So let me start. Typically I get this question asked quite a few times. I mean typically everyone will say कि क्यों बाम्बू से क्यों बनाना है. इतने सारे materials है, technologies है, methods हैं which are already existing, they are proven, they are now people are well versed with. Why is it that you are using bamboo as a building material? So for me, the answer has been quite simple as far as me I am concerned, because I find building with this material a lot of fun, or doing things with this material a lot of fun. So there is this comfort and fun part which really made me work with this or use this material primarily, not only this material. We use a lot of other materials also, but second is when it is commonly observed कि just when you come out of the college or during your early years, you are थोड़ा आइडियलिज्म होता है कि यार कुछ अलग करना है, अलग से कुछ करके देखना है. तो वैसा मेरा भी है. हमको ऐसा लगता है कि हम कुछ अलग करके दुनिया को बदल देंगे. तो इट्स गुड, अच्छा है, भी कुछ नया. बट वो इट इज एन आइडियलिस्ट व्यू. ठीक है, नथिंग रियली चेंजेस मोस्ट ऑफ द टाइम. सो बट आई सॉ कि अगर घर बनाने का कुछ अलग तरीका करने में पॉसिबिलिटी बैम्बू में है, तो क्यों नहीं उसको ट्राई किया जाए. अभी हम लोग जस्ट इंडियन कॉन्टेक्स्ट दिखा देना चाहूँगा मैं कि क्या है बैम्बू हमारे इंडियन कॉन्टेक्स्ट में. बैम्बू एज अ बिल्डिंग मटेरियल रिसोर्स क्या है. तो एक तो बैम्बू बिलोंग्स टू अ फैमिली ऑफ ग्रासेस, एंड ग्रास एज वी ऑल नो इज वन ऑफ द फास्टेस्ट जनरेटिंग फैमिलीज, प्लांट फैमिलीज है, और रीजनरेशन रेट बहुत फास्ट होता है. दूसरा, बिकॉज ऑफ द वेरी नेचर ऑफ दैट ग्रास एज अ प्लांट, उसका मैच्योरिटी भी फास्ट होता है. इसलिए छोटे ग्रासेस आप देखेंगे तो उसका लाइफ साइकिल 2 महीना 3 महीना होता है. सो they will start growing, let's say in the month of June, when the first rains will start, and then by about September October 4-5 months उसको उसकी बीज आ जाते हैं. So इसका मतलब है कि इट हैज उसका लाइफ साइकिल बहुत शॉर्ट होता है बिकॉज ऑफ द वेरी नेचर ऑफ दैट प्लांट. So because bamboo also comes from the same family, just that it is a very very tall grass. So sometimes that grass can grow as much as 100 feet, 120, 80, 90 feet, 100 feet. Or motai mein in the girth, it can grow as much as about 25 centimeters. Some of the, so what we call Dendrocoloma giganteus, which is a botanical name, जिसको हाथी बाज भी बोलते हैं नॉर्थ ईस्ट में, केरला में भी पाया जाता है. उसका जो डायमीटर है एक कलम का, वो तकरीबन 8 इंचेस टू 12 इंचेस के बीच वेरी करता है. सो 20 सेंटीमीटर्स टू 25-30 सेंटीमीटर्स तक. सो इट कैन बी एज बिग एज दैट. तो उसका मैच्योरिटी साइकिल भी फास्ट है. कलम का जो शूटिंग होता है उसके बाद 5 साल में उसको वो जो कलम है इट इज रेडी टू हार्वेस्ट. आई मीन सो लेट्स से ऑन एवरेज अबाउट 2 इंच 3 इंच डाया बाम्बू विच इज ग्रोइंग अबाउट 40 फीट. 5 साल में वो कलम आपको रेडी टू यूज है, विच इज नॉट द केस विथ एनी अदर बायोमास लाइक टिम्बर, विच इज कंस्ट्रक्शन ग्रेड टिम्बर. आपको तकरीबन 18 से 20 साल चाहिए. और अगर सॉफ्ट टिम्बर है तो उसके लिए भी कम से कम एनी टाइम एनीवेयर बिटवीन 8 to 12 years एटलीस्ट आपको चाहिए सॉफ्ट टिम्बर जो है उसमें. दूसरा बड़ा रीजन है बैम्बू का ये है कि इंडियन सब कॉन्टिनेंट इज ब्लेस्ड विथ बैम्बू बिकॉज वो उसका नेचुरल हैबिटेट है. उसका जो हमारा जियो क्लाइमेटिक जोन है वो बैम्बू के लिए बहुत नेचुरल हैबिटेट है. तो ऑलमोस्ट वी हैव अ लार्जेस्ट बैम्बू फॉरेस्ट कवर. आई मीन स्प्रेड ओवर जो है उसका वो बड़ा है, बहुत बड़ा है. उसका यील्ड जो है एनुअल यील्ड वो कंपैरेटिवली कम है क्योंकि देयर आर लॉट ऑफ इश्यूज विच दिस फोरम इज नॉट राइट कि हमारा यील्ड क्यों इतना कम है. वेयर चाइना का जो कवर है फॉरेस्ट कवर वो हमसे काफी कम है, फिर भी उसका यील्ड एनुअल यील्ड जो है वो हमसे कई ज्यादा है. तो उसके अलग रीजंस है. दो रीजंस आर मैनेजमेंट प्रैक्टिसेस, फॉरेस्ट मैनेजमेंट प्रैक्टिसेस से लेकर के उसका रिसोर्स को मैनेज कैसे करते हैं वो सब है. अच्छा, तो दूसरा कि दिस इज अ इंफॉर्मेशन. सो ये अवेलेबल है इंटरनेट पे वगैरह भी, लेकिन जस्ट टू गिव यू, दिस इज जस्ट टू पुट थिंग्स इन पर्सपेक्टिव कि इंडिया में तकरीबन 14 मिलियन हेक्टर्स फॉरेस्ट है बैम्बू का. यानी हमारा जो टोटल फॉरेस्ट कवर है उसका ऑलमोस्ट 18% बैम्बू फॉरेस्ट है हमारा. तो हर 5 पेड़ के बाद एक पेड़ बैम्बू क्लम्प है इंडिया में. और जो एनुअल यील्ड हमारा है वो 3.23 मिलियन मेट्रिक टन है, विच इज यानी उसका मतलब जस्ट टू गिव यू कंपैरेटिव, तो सेल का टोटल प्रोडक्शन जो है पूरे साल का भारत में, विच वॉज रिकॉर्ड हाई लास्ट ईयर, इट वॉज समवेयर लाइक 16 to 17 मिलियन मेट्रिक टन. सो हमारा जो फॉरेस्ट का यील्ड है, विच इज नॉट यील्ड मतलब पूरा बांस नहीं है, वो जितना कट करके हार्वेस्ट करके आपको मिलता है वो है, जबकि आपका बस बांस उससे तकरीबन 20-30 टाइम्स ज्यादा है फॉरेस्ट में, क्योंकि पूरा बाम्बू काटते नहीं है. तो ये इस तरह का रिसोर्स हमारे पास नेचुरली अवेलेबल है. हमने ना तो उसको प्लांट किया है, ना तो उसको बनाया है, ना तो उसको एक्चुअली जो अभी अवेलेबल है वो तो हमने उसको पिछले 60 साल में जितना काट के उसको खराब करके, वो मैनेजमेंट खराब करने के बाद भी, बचने के बाद भी इतना सारा है. दिस फॉर यू टू गेट एन आइडिया ऑफ व्हाट वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट. तो बेसिकली जस्ट टू कंसाइज करना यह है कि हमारे पास एक मटेरियल रिसोर्स है विच इज regenerates faster and it is widely available इंडिया में, पर हमने उसको ग्रॉसली अंडर वैल्यू किया है और अंडर एस्टिमेट किया है उसका पोटेंशियल को. जबकि मैंने वर्नाकुलर बिल्डिंग प्रैक्टिसेस में बैम्बू को बहुत अच्छे से काफी तरीके से एक्सप्लोर किया गया है, यूज किया गया हुआ. पर फिर भी एक्सेप्ट फॉर द नॉर्थ ईस्टर्न स्टेट्स, अगर आप मेनलैंड में आएंगे, इंडियन मेनलैंड में, तो बैम्बू का यूज जो है वो इट वाज लार्जली रिस्ट्रिक्टेड टू रूफिंग अंडरस्ट्रक्चर। उसका एक रीजन ये है कि हमारा मेनलैंड में टिम्बर क्वालिटी, मैंने अच्छे क्वालिटी का टिम्बर काफी हुआ करता था। सो टीक से लेकर साल से लेकर देर आर our forests were full of good quality timber material. So naturally, since it is slight more easier to work with, and timber has a lifespans of longer, तो वो उसका रिस्ट्रिक्शन हो गया। पर दूसरा यह है कि हमको बहुत कम इसलिए भी दिख रहा होगा बैम्बू का यूज मेनलैंड में अभी, रिकॉर्डेड नहीं है। उसका रीजन यह है कि बैम्बू के बिल्डिंग्स जो है या स्ट्रक्चर्स जो होंगे, उसका खुद का एक लाइफ स्पैन है। सो उसको जब ट्रीटमेंट और सीजनिंग वगैरह करने के बाद भी एक 30-35 साल के बाद आपको री बिल्ड करना पड़ेगा। तो हमारे पास रिकॉर्डेड बिल्डिंग्स में नहीं होगा, इसलिए हमको लगता है कि वो इतना यूज होता नहीं होगा। बट वॉट एवर वी कैन से नाउ विथ द रिकॉर्डेड थिंग्स दैट वी हैव, तो उसका टर्शरी एप्लीकेशन काफी ज्यादा था। दूसरा मेरा टेक ये है कि स्पेशली आफ्टर 20s एंड 30s एंड आफ्टर इंडिपेंडेंस, हमारा पूरा फोकस, जो प्रोफेशनल फोकस और साइंटिफिक एंड नॉलेज बेस का फोकस, ये रिस्ट्रिक्ट हो गया और शिफ्ट हो गया टुवर्ड्स इंडस्ट्रियल मटेरियल्स, बिकॉज द सेकेंड स्टेटमेंट जो मैंने लिखा है, आई नो दैट ये थोड़ा सा नॉट अ वेरी गुड थिंग टू से, पर इट इज क्वाइट एविडेंट दैट हमने हमारे ट्रेडिशनल बिल्डिंग प्रैक्टिसेस को हमने, यानी स्पेशली द अर्बन एजुकेटेड एलाइट, इग्नोर्ड एंड समटाइम्स एक्चुअली हमने उसका मजाक उड़ाया इन अ वे कि ये सब तो पुरानी चीजें हैं, इनमें क्या है। अभी हमारे पास स्टील है, एक्सपोज्ड कंक्रीट है, हमारे पास एल्यूमिनियम है, एल्यूमिनियम ग्लास है। तो जबकि ये हमने एक तो ना हमने खुद ने इसका कभी, ये मटेरियल्स के बारे में हमारा खुद का मटेरियल टेक्नोलॉजी हमने कभी खुद ने बनाया नहीं। ये सारा का सारा हमने नॉलेज से लेकर मटेरियल बिल्डिंग टेक्नोलॉजी से लेकर उसके फिनिशेस, उसके जॉइनरी, ऑलमोस्ट एवरीथिंग 98% 99% हमने सब कुछ उठाया है कहीं से, और फिर हमने इसको यहाँ पे सिर्फ इम्प्लीमेंट किया है। तो हमने कुछ मशक्कत नहीं किया ना, कंक्रीट में भी हमने ऐसा कुछ मशक्कत नहीं किया है कि हमने कुछ कंक्रीट का साथ कुछ बनाया विच इज ग्राउंड ब्रेकिंग, या हमने स्टील या ग्लास में से ऐसा कुछ बनाया है विच इज अ ग्राउंड ब्रेकिंग। तो हमने कोई मटेरियल के साथ ना तो मशक्कत की, वो इंडस्ट्रियल हो या मॉडर्न हो, और ना ही क्योंकि हमने अपने खुद के मटेरियल्स के बारे में जो हमारा ये है पर्सपेक्टिव है, दैट एक्चुअली वो ब्लाइंड फेथ जो है वो यूरोपियन और वेस्टर्न माइंडसेट के ऊपर, दैट हैज शेप्ड द वे वी हैव इवॉल्व्ड, और द वे द बिल्डिंग प्रैक्टिसेस हैव इवॉल्व्ड over last, and when we built environment gets influenced, आप डिजाइन कुछ भी करो है ना, उसके शेप्स आप चेंज कर सकते हो, पर बिल्ट एनवायरनमेंट का जो स्पिरिट है, वो स्पिरिट आप, क्योंकि ये आपने इजाद ही नहीं किया है, तो वो स्पिरिट भी आप इजाद नहीं कर पाओगे ना, उसका जो कोर स्पिरिट है उसको भी। तो अभी हम देखते हैं कि अलग अलग तरह के बिल्डिंग लोग बनाते हैं, वो अच्छे अच्छे दिखते भी हैं, फोटो भी अच्छे आते हैं, और वो स्पिरिट जो है वो फिर भी वो हमने उधार लिया हुआ स्पिरिट है, वो हमारा खुद का स्पिरिट नहीं है। ऐसा मेरा, दिस इज माय स्टेट अंडरस्टैंडिंग एंड ऑब्जर्वेशन। सो दिस इज नॉट समथिंग दैट आई एम ट्राइंग टू जनरलाइज और ट्राइंग टू मेक अ कमेंट ऑन। ओके, सो नाउ वी विल फोकस ऑन सम ऑफ द क्या लिमिटेशंस है। सो हमने देखा कि क्या बैम्बू का क्या है, बैम्बू एज अ रिसोर्स क्या है, और बैम्बू एज अ बिल्डिंग मटेरियल के लिमिटेशंस और चैलेंजेस क्या क्या है, ये भी हम लोग देख लेंगे। ऐसा इतना आसान नहीं है। अगर हमको बैम्बू से अगर कुछ स्ट्रक्चर या कंस्ट्रक्शन करना है तो बहुत उसमें अड़चन है और इतना आसान भी नहीं है। जो सेम चीज बाकी बिल्डिंग मटेरियल्स विच वी कैन से कि पार्ट एंड पार्सल ऑफ अवर लार्जर इंडियन पैलेट, जैसे कि मड टिम्बर लाइन यानी वर्नाक्युलर पैलेट, उसमें भी अगर आपको कुछ करना है तो आपको सिमिलर और टिपिकली उसी तरह के चैलेंजेस और हर्डल्स मिलेंगे ऑफ वेरियस एट वेरियस लेवल्स। बट अभी हम लोग क्या करेंगे कि लेट अस लुक एट द technical aspects and material aspects, not the other aspects of the building system or technology. तो बैम्बू के जो एनाटॉमिकल बैम्बू एज अ मटेरियल जो जैसा है उसके कारण जो चैलेंजेस आते हैं तो उसको मैं थोड़ा एलाबरेट करूंगा। वैसे आई गेस दोज हु आर पार्ट ऑफ दिस डिस्कशन, quite a few might already be aware about this, but फिर भी let's just put this in framework so it's easier for we are all on some same page. So एक तो फाइबर स्ट्रक्चर है बैम्बू का, ये एकदम लीनियर और पैरेलल फाइबर स्ट्रक्चर है। वेरी जो ट्री में और प्लांट्स में फाइबर स्ट्रक्चर होता है उससे काफी थोड़ा अलग है। उसमें भी फाइबर स्ट्रक्चर लीनियर अपवर्ड मोबाइल होता है, लेकिन उसमें क्लम्पिंग और ये बनता है ट्रीज में, जबकि बैम्बू में वो लीनियर फाइबर पैरेलल मूव करते हैं एक दूसरे के साथ। तो वो उसका एडवांटेज भी है क्योंकि बैम्बू को उसके कारण वर्केबिलिटी बहुत इजी हो जाती है। आप स्प्लिट करना उसको अलग अलग क्रॉस सेक्शन में कन्वर्ट करना आसान हो जाता है, जबकि अलोंग द फाइबर इट इज ऑल्सो वीक। सो स्ट्रक्चर्स में दैट बिकम्स योर limitation because the bamboo as a material will tend to fail easily along the fibers. दूसरा है कि उसका जो क्रॉस सेक्शन है, हम लोग अज्यूम करके चलते हैं कि ड्राइंग में और इसमें कि बैम्बू सर्कल होगा, सिलेंड्रिकल होगा। वो ब्रॉडली सिलेंड्रिकल है पर वो कभी भी सर्कल नहीं होता है मोस्ट ऑफ द टाइम। सो लार्जली वो थोड़ा सा ओवल शेप रहेगा। दूसरा उसका चैलेंज है कि वो ओवल शेप भी अलोंग इट्स लेंथ विल चेंज इन द फॉर्म समवॉट, सो देयर इज नो, इट्स नॉट कंसिस्टेंट। दूसरा है कि आपको तीसरा पॉइंट है कि ये बैम्बू का जो सेक्शन है वो टेपरिंग सेक्शन है। सो नीचे में ब्रॉड रहेगा और ऊपर में वो छोटा होता जाएगा, विच इज natural because it's a natural material which is growing tall. तो जो वेदर के फोर्सेस है ऑफ विंड एंड अदर थिंग्स एंड सो नीचे में ब्रॉडर बेस एंड ऊपर में टेपर्ड बेस डायमीटर, वो नेचुरल फॉर्म है उसका। अभी those were anatomical and उसके वेरी स्पेसिफिक टू इट्स एनाटॉमी से रिलेटेड जो चैलेंजेस है वो। अभी जो दूसरे चैलेंजेस है ना सप्लाई चेन के। सो अभी हमारे पास टिपिकली बैम्बू को अगर आप करने जाओगे तो आपके पास कोई रिलायबल सोर्स इजीली एक्सेसिबल नहीं है कि आप बाहर गए कोई भी मार्केट में और आपने देखा कि हाँ ये बैम्बू का ये मार्ट है जिसमें अलग अलग ग्रेड के या साइज के थोड़ा रिलायबल कि ये बैम्बू का कौन सा स्पीशीज है, उसका डायमीटर, उसका वॉल थिकनेस कितना मिलेगा नहीं मिलेगा। सो बहुत सारा कंफ्यूजन स्टार्ट्स फ्रॉम दैट वेरी फर्स्ट पॉइंट ऑफ कांटेक्ट कि हमको बैम्बू मिलेगा कहाँ पे और वो बैम्बू जो मिलेगा वो हमारे जो हमको चाहिए वैसा रहेगा नहीं रहेगा, जो मिलेगा वो रिलायबल रहेगा इन टर्म्स ऑफ इट्स स्पीशीज और वॉल थिकनेस, ये सब। दूसरा कोई स्टैंडर्डाइजेशन नहीं है विच आई स्पोक अबाउट। और ट्रीटेड यानी टिपिकली आप बैम्बू हार्वेस्ट करने के बाद अगर आप डायरेक्टली यूज करेंगे नॉट नेसेसरी कि बैम्बू 3 साल 5 साल में डिटीरिएट हो जाएगा, लेकिन उसका उसको बोरर अटैक हो सकता है या फिर कोई फंगल अटैक हो सकता है जिससे उसका वीकनेस बढ़ेगा, या फिर उसको वर्किंग लाइफ जो है वो कम रहती है इफ इट इज नॉट ट्रीटेड एंड सीजन। तो अगर आप ट्रीटमेंट और सीजनिंग करने के बाद उसका वर्किंग लाइफ कैन वेरी बिटवीन 25 to 40 years. So वो भी ऐसा ट्रीटेड और सीजन बैम्बू पोल हमारे पास अवेलेबल इजीली नहीं है. तो मेरा क्या है कि what is it that has made this as an interesting material to work with for me, कि इसका जो ट्यूबुलर फॉर्म है और इजी एक्सेसिबिलिटी है, और उसका जो स्ट्रक्चर है एनाटॉमिकल, वो उसको बहुत इट्स अ स्ट्रॉन्ग मटेरियल ऑन अ वेट टू वेट बेसिस. यानी जैसे कि एक सिंपल एग्जांपल ये है कि आपका जो बैम्बू का 12 फीट का पोल है जो आप कोई भी पेंडोल में यूज करते हैं, उसका वेट टिपिकली 2.5 से 3 किलो रहेगा, या फिर स्कैफोल्डिंग में यूज करते हैं. उतना ही आपको स्टिफनेस और उतना ही परफॉर्मेंस देने के लिए अगर आपको स्टील पाइप यूज करना है तो वो एटलीस्ट उससे 2 times या 3 times और 2.5 times ज्यादा हेवी रहेगा इन टर्म्स ऑफ द वेट. तो यू हैव अ मटेरियल विच इज easily available, which is stiff, it is easy to work with, ऐसा सब मटेरियल है. और उसके अपने चैलेंजेस है. सो इट पोजेस अ लॉट ऑफ चैलेंजेस. सो वो एक फैसिनेशन है कि कैसे हम इसको यूज कर सकते हैं. तो ये सब रीजंस और these are the dimensions why हमने सोचा कि why not try and explore this as a material to develop some of the building systems, if they are possible, how they can be used in our day-to-day lives today. And जो भी ये काम होता है हमारा बैम्बू के साथ, because we are trying to develop junctions or joineries or different materials come together. So बैम्बू के साथ आपको मेटल रहेगा या फिर बैम्बू के साथ वुड आएगा, क्योंकि घर या कोई भी बिल्डिंग आप सिर्फ एक मटेरियल से तो बनाएंगे नहीं. आपके पास there will be a palette of material, and those materials will interact with bamboo. So how that interaction and junctions and they all will be formed. So all of that requires your inputs, your thinking, experimentation, prototyping. So sometimes it is exhilarating. I mean, because you are trying to grapple with a problem with a challenge, and then you are trying to figure out a solution, and when some solution comes to you, it is exhilarating. I mean, it really takes you on a different plane. But most of the time it is very frustrating, very exhausting also, and daunting hota hai. So I will start with how we started with Fondergrass. The idea of Fondergrass when we started in 2008 was simple कि अब हमको बिल्डिंग बैम्बू हैबिटेट्स को एक्सेसिबल एंड अफोर्डेबल सर्विस करना है. सो जिसको भी अगर कुछ बनाना है बैम्बू से, तो कैन वी मेक इट पॉसिबल एंड एक्सेसिबल एंड अवेलेबल फॉर दैट पर्सन. और अगर वो करने के लिए the way we thought that could be achieved was the systems approach, which is used most commonly when you have to do things on a larger scale. क्योंकि हमारा one of the core things that we started with is कि एक या दो चीजें नहीं करनी हमको. किसी एक घर नहीं बनाना है, एक रिसोर्ट को डिजाइन नहीं करना है. Can we do things which can be at scale? I mean, when I say at scale, that means can we provide bamboo houses, let's say for 500, 1000 numbers, not Wondergrass, but as a building method and system that people can do it in numbers. So इसके लिए we focused on very simple, commonly required, needed building units, and develop a generic solutions. So they are not custom designed, they are not very site specific, very context specific, but they are generic in their nature. then develop a construction system which is because it's a we are now trying to say bamboo can become part of the main structural member. तो वो robust और replicable कर सकते हैं क्या? Then make the components which are modular and prefabricated. So then it becomes easier for you to build it in numbers and make it accessible and available for people at large. दूसरा है and the last point is कि standard set of components. So can we create a system which is so you have a standard set of components and then so let's say you have columns and beams and trusses and joists and rafters and everything and then panels. So they all are made off-site and then you take it on the site and put it for easy to with easy operations you can put it up. This is not to say that all buildings should be like this, but there are many building applications and built environment requirements where customization per se of a basic shell is not required. So this is so we are saying can we create a basic shell which is generic and then that can be used in numbers. So these are the different product verticals that we developed. To address different cross sections of the built area, built environment requirements. So plug and play means there are standard set of building components like panels and screens. Then you have railing panels or railing components, chhajjas. So these are the components which can actually go and they are like you take them off the shelf and go and fix it in any kind of a building that you are using. So these are plug and play. Then you have DIY kits for the outdoor structures. I am sorry for this background noise because in the village there is a small ceremony शादी है तो शादी का वो काम उनका celebration चल रहा है. Then you have living units. So these are they're complete living units like cottages. So now these are some of the projects that we have done. So there are about 4 or 5 projects. So we'll give you just a broad idea of how different components we have used that I have explained you earlier in different projects. So the first thing we spoke about the plug and play or the bamboo panels. So here in Nagpur, they wanted to create like a pergola or let's say even screens which act like a shading devices as well as visual barriers. So the framework is metal, which was done by the local fabricator, but we just took the panels of the standard size and just went and fixed it to the framework. This is a outdoor semi-open structure. This is part of a landscape in front of a house, large house. So it's like a sit out during the evenings or mornings. The same thing, they are all all components were prefabricated at our workshop, and then we assembled them on site. This is a roofing understructure. Then we'll come to this complete living unit, weekend home. This is actually designed for that particular site. So we, the system that we have developed for the living units, we tweaked it and modified it for the requirement that the client had. So it's about 4,000 square feet plot. and he wanted a weekend home because it's very closer to Pune, and he stays in Pune, and he spends 1 or 2 days in a week here, and he's a permaculture enthusiast. So the rest of the plot he has developed as a permaculture plot. He needed large veranda because most of the time he will be outside. Then a small living area. Uh, this is basically a bigger hall. So just these are for the namesake, but otherwise it's a large hall and there can be a multi-purpose use. Small pantry and toilet unit. So typically we say कि the toilet units, which are basically has wet component to it or wet areas, we build them with brick and mortar, cement mortar systems. So this is a section. It has a mezzanine floor. The sleeping area is on top. So here you can see the construction in progress. So again here too. So whenever we design, what we do is after designing the space or whatever that form of the place, we will make them. We will design the components and standard components that will create that form on site, and all those typically replicable components of the standard size and type, and then they are all made in our workshop at Nagpur. We'll send them on site. We'll assemble them and do the final touch of finishing everything on site. So here you can see the structure in the first the structural components, then the wall panels were fixed, and then the wall panels were plastered. So the plastering, this is a common walling system using bamboo. So it's called Baharik or Assamese walling system, in which you have a bamboo woven mesh, and then you basically fix or tie a chicken wire mesh on top. So it's close to what we do in ferrocrete. It is also known as bamboo crate very loosely, but it's Baharik wall construction. So the roof understructure has, after the roofing understructure is done, we put board, which are bamboo composite boards, as the first layer, and then put either Bangalore tiles or any other roofing material that client wishes for. In this particular house, a lot of credit to actually after we basically build the basics shell, the lot of credit to do the other part of the works, the exterior, the painting and getting it the interior well. It is all due to it's all credit to client. He is really put his heart and soul in building this small weekend house, and he really enjoys being part of this place. And interestingly, we finished this building in 2000, towards the end of the 2017 and early 2018. And then I guess in 2019 or 20, there was a Nisarga cyclone which skirted this area. So this area experienced about 80 to 100 kilometer hour wind speeds for a day, almost for 3 to 5 hours. And nothing happened except for a few Mangalore tiles flying off. So, and after that, last year it also experienced another cyclone that went over this area, the Taukte cyclone. This is on a slightly larger scale. I mean, not really large. It's only about 3,000, roughly 3,000 square feet small campus. It was built for Nagpur Metro in Nagpur. They were coming up with this safety training park where the idea was to give 1 or 2 days, conduct 2 days training workshops for all their people who work with Nagpur Metro on construction safety and safety on site of various types, civil construction, electricals, and all that. So this is a small. So here you can see three exhibition, demonstration, and seminar halls in the center with two pavilions, exhibition pavilions on two sides. These two pavilions were never built, so three seminar halls or halls for their demonstration were built. Uh, this is geometrically an interesting form. This is also referred to as a cube on vortex. Basically, when you rotate a cube along the diagonal and put it on the diagonal is so that three sides or the three planes of the cube will create this form, and the footprint on the plan will be an hexagon. Exactly. Uh, so these three planes were made with bamboo and then they were put together, and so the point of contact on the site is only three, and so it is held at 3 points on the ground. One of the reasons, apart from its geometry, was that this is part of the forest land where they don't want anything inside the ground, which is like what they call permanent. So even the foundation here, it is designed in such a way. One, the foundation is very minimal. You have only 3 points of contact. Second, it is designed in such a way, almost like a precast, which can actually later be plugged out in case they want to restore the whole thing. So the whole thing can actually be dismantled, and even from the foundation itself can be plugged out. So wherever there were walls and everything required, this is the last project, which this is not a very big space. It's about 34 feet by 32 feet by 32 feet clear span, and the roof extends by 4 feet on all sides. It's a staff meeting, basically a hall for staff meetings for the teachers of the school. It's a residential school, Sahyadri School, near Pune. So it's about 70 kilometers from Pune. It's a simple pyramidal roof with roof sloping on 4 sides. There is not much to explain in this, except that here the truss is slightly different. I mean, it's an inverted truss system, and they all come and join together at a square panel in the center. Since it is a staff meeting hall which is on top and it has a very large roof overhang, so they decided not to have enclosed like windows or anything. Just we provided them with screens, and it has been in use for last 1 year. And the clients, I mean, they really don't want to have closed windows so far. They are very happy with the bare character of the space. Yeah, so just to, as an end note, Binu Kale was my father. I mean, he's started exploring use of bamboo, not only bamboo but various building materials like lime and mud, and she saw how bamboo or these materials can become part of the building traditions or practices across India, urban as well as rural. His focus was mostly on rural because he saw that there was a huge gap that is forming in rural housing, and that gap can't be filled with building materials which are industrial in nature. Or if that can be filled, people will not get. So there will be. It will not be contextual. It will be environmentally unsustainable. Various aspects of that, and so a lot of inspiration that we actually draw from his work. I had the opportunity to work with him as an apprentice after I finished my 12th, almost for 6 months on one of the projects. So whatever little that we do today is we it's all rooted and founded on the works that he has done. So that's all from my end. I guess I hope we had a interesting 20 minutes.
Thank you, Vaibhav. Thank you
Thank you
so
very
much.
much. Yeah, shall I stop sharing the screen?
Yes, please. Thank you so much, Vaibhav. It was a wonderful demonstration of a design and build model of practice. The way I understand is that which is something that we are not taught as architects, as designers in architecture schools. And that is also the kind of an approach of a barefoot architects that is needed in order to work, I suppose, with this material, and also to work with the kind of people who are the clients. There are a lot of challenges that you spoke about in your presentation of working with bamboo as a material. So, for example, some of them are got to do with the anatomy of the bamboo, and some of them have got to do with the supply chain, as you have mentioned. And talking about the anatomical changes, so you spoke about that the bamboo, there are the inherent properties that the diameter goes on reducing, the wall thickness goes on reducing on top of that. So now with all of that, when you start talking about systems approaches, right? So how do you cope up with that? Because the material is not uniform, right? The material is very organic, right? Even in case of a timber, at the end of the day, I can have a precise section in my hand, which is, let's say, if I want 2 inches by 4 inches, I can have a 2 inches by 4 inches running throughout the length.
Yes.
But here that is not the case.
Yes.
So in that case, what are the challenges that you face when you're working with the systems approach? Because there you need to standardize a lot of things.
Yes. So I mean, there are these are challenges certainly. I mean, once you identify them. Right now, see, Ayaz, what happens is that since this whole idea of standardization, standardization means with timber, we can relate with it because someone else has already done part of the work on it. It was not there. It wasn't there. No? I mean, 50, 80, 100 years ago, I mean, if they would have said that you have a panel board furniture which will come flat pack to you, and then you can assemble them. आपको लगता था कि अरे ये कैसे है, ये कुछ भी बोल रहे हैं. But someone has applied his mind and thinking, and same for the even for the timber structures. If you see the kind of the work that Europe does in timber structures which are prefab, I mean, it's fabulous. I mean, fantabulous kind of the joints, the systems, the methods of putting different materials together. I mean, someone has to work on it. No? Similarly, if we apply ourselves enough, I mean, uh, with bamboo and see what is it, how do you address this? I mean, yes, so it is not cylinder, it is oval, it is not consistent, it is reducing. Well, now these are the issues and challenges now. Not that we have been able to address them, but at least we have started uh, approaching it. I wouldn't say that in 12 years we have cracked it, or even not even we have not even gone 20-30% of what is really required at the end. Uh, but it is, someone has to apply, someone has to figure out, someone has to field run it, see what are the constraints are there. I mean, 100 years ago, even in Europe, they would be building timber structures which are on site, or but 30, 40 years, 50 years down the line, they have their factory made timber structures which actually come to you and you can build. So some similar things can happen with bamboo. It is just the material is there. I mean, it is, and it has its challenges and issues, uh, and not easy to work with. It is not easy to work with like a timber, because of the timber has its advantages, and timber has some knowledge which is already formed, which we can use today and then move further, uh, which is not the case with bamboo. But it is something that can be addressed and achieved, and not something that cannot be figured out.
Yeah, and also it was visible. I mean, the across the projects that you showed, starting from the smaller ones,
Yes.
all the way up to the Sahyadri school, the hall. As you know, project after project, I could sense that the everything is getting better. The details,
Yes.
the compositions, everything. In fact, I really enjoyed. In fact, all the projects, starting from that house that you did next to the Pune, then that training institute for the Nagpur Metro, and the last that hall. I really started enjoying. And but also many of these projects, for example, when you're talking about the systems, so you talked about three things: plug and play elements. Then there are small BIY buildings too, right? Like small pavilions that you could set
Yes.
up. And then there are houses. There's a system that with which you can make houses or small scale structures. But now you are going beyond that scale also, right? So like in this Sahyadri and the Nagpur Metro was a different approach where you had to walk away from the system and come up with something new. So
Yes.
then the system is something that is continuously evolving, and things are getting added, keep getting
Yeah,
added
yeah,
to
that's
that,
good.
right?
The
That's
design and build projects always help you to refine the system, because that it gives you the opportunity to experiment.
yes.
So you have then you have a certain size of the project in which you can then explore some of the joints, which will then be useful for you to for the smaller building units.
Mhm. Yeah.
Because it is just a scaling down. No? In small building unit, it's difficult for us to experiment with different um, possibilities of joining that or resolving that junction. Let's say there are three XYZ bamboo axis is coming. Then how do we resolve? What are the various ways in which it can be resolved? How does that sit on top of other material? Now, larger building design build projects give you a little bit of space and room
Yeah.
to do that. In a small project, it becomes very difficult. But what you have experienced and learned from the larger project, you can use that learning and transfer it on the smaller projects.
Yeah. And that is how the system keeps on evolving
Yes.
as project after project. We have a question on the social media where someone is asking how you handle the structural analysis part at Wondergrass. I mean, I assume that particularly the ones which are at the larger scales.
Yeah, so for the large scale projects or structures, we engage with structural engineer, designer, consultant. Uh, See, this is not bamboo is also just another material. Just like you will analyze a structure for timber or steel, uh, bamboo has they have a standard set of mechanical properties, like what are its tensile properties, what is compressive strength, what is its MOE, modulus of rupture, modulus of elasticity. Everything has been arrived at for different species, and so there is a table in which all these properties of different species are there. Now you use those properties, and a structural engineer who is willing to put in extra time and effort, because he will have to do a little bit extra work,
Yes.
because it is not run of the mill that he can just use certain methods that he has practiced over years and find do a calculation. He will The methods will remain same. The way you will do a structural analysis will is not going to change. I mean, in science, the basic principles never change. You have to use those principles to finally find an answer. Some will require little less time, some will require a little more time, some will require some little effort, some will require more effort. As long as we are ready for that effort, it is not very difficult.
Yeah. And also, two things added to this, maybe in fact many things. So what you are saying is that enough data is available as far as the compressive strength and the tensile
Okay.
strength and the elastic
There
modulus,
is
everything is
a national building code has a chapter
right.
on bamboo.
Right.
In 2016, National Building Code has a chapter on bamboo in which all of this, even some of the basic structures, what are the safety, how do you go about analysis, and everything has been given. There is a international bamboo design code is there.
Okay. Yeah.
So it is the knowledge is there. Uh, Luckily, in the last 4 years, because of the National Building Code and everything, there is some kind of a knowledge. Fortunately, that in India, Indians have done, but at international level, it is such an irony that the International Building Code chair is a person from Netherlands. I mean, what? Anyway, we can't help it. It's part of our life.
But also along with the structural part of is two things. One thing that I saw some of the models. I mean, there was a slide that you showed where you're talking about the fascination, joy, and dialogue. So
Yes,
the model making and testing it
yes,
in the
yes. That's
model
a part of our
is very
standard
much
process.
part of
Yes, yes.
and these must be working models, I suppose,
Yes,
for you to
full
test.
proper to the scale models. Each
Yeah.
component, that the way it will be built, that actually that model, if you photograph and click it on and scale it on the large scale, it will actually fit the actual building.
Yeah. So
Yes,
that also helps you understand the structural
absolutely.
behavior and
Yes. We do that as part of the process, that we first do the full model. We partially stress test it. So we will look at various aspects of loads that can come, and extra loads that can come, and see if there are failures which are not expected, and even some junctions which we may not have imagined in the drawing or visualization, that has to be resolved on that model.
plus on top of that you're working with craftsmen, right? So they also have an inherent sense of of the material, how much you can load it, how much it will span, whether this will work or not, right? So a question related to that is, in your practice, what is the role of the craftsmen? How are they integral part of the wondergrass?
Uh, Once you have an initial idea of the building that structure, you visualize, and you actually, most of the time what we do is we make a very small quick study models where craftsman and my colleague who is designing is part of the, both together will do that, a
Okay.
quick study model, part of it. And then if required, we actually do a small prototype of members which are key members, and then we'll see, okay, is this something that will actually work the way we think, and then the actual model when we have done the design, that time the craftsman and the design person will together work on.
Yeah.
So they
So
are completely engaged in the process, and many large space structures we actually do the full scale mock-up and test it on the site on our workshop.
yeah. So the people who are going to build this craftsmen are part of the design process from day one, right? That is
Yes,
what you're trying to say. So
yes,
it's not that you design something, they come in the end and okay, let's just go ahead and build it, and that adds a value to the design process.
yes, yes, absolutely.
Yeah, yeah.
Because the
So
kind of understanding about material and the way it will behave, or even the structures, the structural system, they have an inherent, intrinsic sense about it, and so many times that sense is very important to shape up the process.
I would like to talk about your practice, the Wondergrass initiative, a little bit. And it's a design and build model of practice, right? So you don't and something that, as I was saying initially early also, is not the normally what we are taught in the universities, etc. And it involves some of the aspects of entrepreneurship, setting up a business. How was the journey like with you in the initial setting up process of the Wondergrass? Was it easy? What are the challenges that you faced?
So I would say we were very lucky. I mean, uh, since I certainly think that quite a bit of it is uh, because I was working in Bangalore, and uh, Bangalore as a place has a very interesting air about this whole startup. I mean, to start
Yeah.
something out of the which is not being done, to experiment with it, and it is not only in starting. People who are your users are also quite open to this idea of trying something new, even at the cost of failure. I mean, at the back of their mind, if they are trying, like let's say we built a small cottage for someone in early 2008 when we started with bamboo and mud. We had I had some experience, and but this prefabrication and all that we were trying and we'll explore. But I mean, it's not. It's actually a very badly done work. If you see it, even then we could really see that. But he was quite okay with it. I mean, when they are working with you, at the back of their mind, they have this idea. Okay, this may not work, and they're quite okay with it. Which I think that place somehow has that. The Bangalore has that, which so I am very lucky that way, because we wouldn't have survived in Mumbai or Delhi or Nagpur or Maharashtra or anywhere. Not possible.
So
Because
you were you got a chance to get incubated at a place
at
in
I am
some.
Bangalore. Yes, now that is also see. I mean, that place. It's. I mean, when I am Bangalore, they wanted to. Their primarily their core idea is to support startups in IT tech, mobile tech, because that is the hub of that.
Yeah.
But even there was when we went and we presented, even they were open to this whole idea of why not look at housing or the building as a way of setting up enterprises which can see this. This is something which is quite interesting about Bangalore. Uh, that uh, this willingness to experiment and try.
Yeah. And that's much needed, right? And I remember
Ah,
here also in IIM Ahmedabad, I think Professor Sanjay Gupta, somebody started. I don't forget the name, but there's a professor. I think Professor Anil
Anil
Gupta.
Gupta.
Yeah,
Yes.
he also started a similar drive where uh,
Yeah, it's a very
to
it's an
support.
old initiative.
Yeah,
Honeybee network.
to support social startups, the
Yes.
social entrepreneurship, and that's much more needed because initially when you need to do research, when you need to bring, you need some kind of a help, particularly to work in this kind of a context. And if you get a chance to get incubated or get
Yes.
some funds, I think that can be a fantastic
We didn't
kickstart.
get the funds because that time NSRCL was not offering
Okay.
funds. But even just an idea or your because they provide you infrastructure,
Hmm.
they
Okay.
provide you. Then you are because you're in IIM Bangalore, a lot of peer learning happens because you have
Right.
lots of people around you who are also setting up new businesses and trying new ideas, and
Right.
they're also facing some problems and issues. So there is a lot of peer learning that happens, and then being IIM, what happens is the kind of the various small guest lectures, speakers that come because I'm primarily design graduate. So
Right.
the other aspects of business, especially management of finances,
Yes.
management of your customer relationships,
Hmm.
is something which I am not very good at. So even at least having an exposure to it, being aware of it, also helps you. If you, even if you are not good at it, it helps you.
Yeah. So just to sort of come to an end, I mean, it's been a fantastic journey, and as we discussed, we see it keeps getting better with every project, and it's so refreshing to see the new details and elements coming up. What are your future trajectories, goals, some experimentation, innovation that is going on?
So right now we are working on a again it's a kit of parts of components which is basically used in because farmers of which have farmlands from 4 acres to 7 acres, 8 acres, they all need a small storage spaces or workspaces in their farms, which are about 200 square feet or something. Uh, those can also be used in other ways in like for animal livestock or keeping your livestock or a small dairy, whatever, I mean multiple places. So this now people build it either with timber poles, which are little crude form of making things. They just put it together little crudely, or they will get it done with the fabrication, metal fabrication. So we are trying to see if we can create something which will address that area of. So we are prototyping it, and we have done the first few experimentations. We will see if the idea is to actually make that kind of a kit and put it in the small building material shops, which are roadside near villages, and see if people and with create a small booklet, do it yourself kind of a guide, uh, also a small video which will explain, and see if really people are open to this idea of picking up a small kit and taking it and building it the, as per the requirement. So that is the currently what we are working on, apart from
Wonderful.
the buildings that we do.
Yeah. That would be amazing. That's some amazing idea. So just like the way in the roadside, this precast,
Yes, exactly.
components that are available to you, you can just get them and quickly put something up. Similarly, you can come up with bamboo,
Bamboo.
and
So you
people
have
can
bamboo
easily,
columns, you have bamboo columns, you have bamboo rafters and joists and beams,
yeah,
and then you can take them. So, and let's say you take you buy 4 columns and uh, 2 beams, 2 trusses, small trusses, and some joists or rafters, and then you purlins, and you go and make a 10 by 12 room so for yourself or a small shed. So that is the idea. Let's see.
Vaibhav, it has been fantastic learning opportunity for all of us. I think for me personally, for all of us who have gone through this presentation, seen your work. And if I were to summarize, there was one slide where you talked about the fascination, the joy, and the dialogue. right?
Yeah.
Where I think it's in spirit, it kind of summarizes what you have been doing of all these years. There's a fascination with the material. It
Yes.
has wonderful properties, the stiffness, the structural strength to weight ratio, everything fantastic, tensile strength. At the same time, it is hard to, it's strong, but then also easier to work with very simple hand tools. So you can sit down on the floor and just start working with it. So there's a joy of working with it. And in terms of the dialogue, it continuously keeps on evolving. The exploration goes on, the innovation keeps goes on. So I could see that that slide sort of summarized your entire practice in that one slide. It was wonderful. And at the bottom of it, the whole objective here is to make the bamboo construction accessible and
Yes.
affordable. Particularly the last idea that you talked about was really clicked me. So with that, I think I would like to conclude this section. Thank you so
Thank,
much,
thank you.
Vaibhav.
Thank you,
It has
sir.
been fantastic experience
Yeah, yeah.
interacting with you all these
Yeah.
days,
I
going
hope
through presentations.
it was an interesting one.
Fantastic. Thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for joining with us. And let me just conclude here with a remark that our next lecture is also on going to be on bamboo. We have an architect Rizvi Hassan from Bangladesh who have been doing some very interesting work there with bamboo as a material. And by chance, we have these two interviews just got aligned themselves perfectly. So it's been nice learning experience, and hopefully we'll continue in that next interview also. Thank you so much for
Sure.
joining with us.
Thank you. Thank you. Shall I close it?